Hey there, I'm Pierce Beisinger with Portland Mountain Rescue. Welcome to the MRA Conference Video Educational Series. This year in 2021, we'll be covering patient packaging. Every year as we begin this series, we'll be picking up a new topic to invest in our members and learn from each other how we can better do mountain rescue.
In the following video, you'll see several scenarios performed by MRA teams in a safe and efficient manner to help remove and extract patients from the wilderness. Also covered during the conference were a couple lectures performed by Appalachian Mountain Rescue Team and myself with Portland Mountain Rescue, covering various components of hypothermia and spinal cord protection, with highlights of patient packaging in those lectures as well. We have to ask ourselves when it comes to patient packaging, what is our purpose? Is it rigid immobilization, or are we trying to perform spinal cord protection? If we're using a SAM collar, for example, using it with the goal of spinal motion restriction or spinal cord protection is a reasonable pursuit, but not rigid immobilization. Indeed, the Wilderness Medical Society practice guidelines even advocate for the use of a soft collar in the backcountry environment. Shifting our focus to hypothermia, we want to make sure that we mitigate the methods of heat loss with our patient packaging design. These include conduction, convection, evaporation, and radiation, as demonstrated in the cartoon to the left. The treatment goals of hypothermia are to prevent further heat loss and to help evacuate them from the environment where heat loss is occurring. As we design our patient packaging scenario, we want to make sure that we consider how we access the patient and what that allows us to bring into the environment. How does our patient package allow us to mitigate the terrain? Does our package offer heat loss mitigation? And what does the thing weigh? How comfortable is the team using it? So this is a typical design of a burrito wrap, as demonstrated in multiple wilderness medicine references, where you see a tarp and some insulation mitigating heat loss. The goals of protection include not only providing patient care and also patient evacuation, but also safe and efficient patient packaging. Let's take a look at one of the burrito wrap designs performed by Portland Mountain Rescue. Here you see an 8x10 tarp with a folded edge at the foot of the patient. That prevents snow from sliding up over the litter into the patient's microenvironment and thereby allowing them to keep their feet warm and keep the rest of the package warm. The top of the package is clover-leafed, allowing access to the airway into the patient's face. You can see as you look closely at the package that there is webbing that's crisscrossed and going through both of the tie-in points of the patient's harness. There's a focused area of the webbing girth hitched through both the harness tie-in points. Another component that can be added to the burrito wrap is the vacuum mattress. The vacuum mattress helps with preventing heat loss through conduction. It provides an insulative barrier against the ground. It also limits mobility and provides spinal cord protection, as well as protection to extremity fractures in the lower leg. It also prevents and inhibits the patient from sliding up and down inside with all of the straps that hold the patient in place. It facilitates patient transfers with the handles that are on the side to remove them from one environment to the other or to transfer them from one litter to another. You can add to the vacuum mattress ready heat blankets or similar companies that allow the patient to be warmed inside the burrito wrap for several hours at a temperature of 100 degrees, further mitigating heat loss. Finally, we arrive at the litter. Most teams are familiar with the litter. It does come in various configurations, including the wheeled litter you see on the left, and it's also skiable as you see on the right. The SCED is approved by the FAA for raises with helicopters and is also useful for ground transfers and moving patients over varied terrain. It does require a substantial padding on the bottom to mitigate the bumps and lumps of the terrain, causing further injury to the patient. I hope that some of these highlights bring forward a focus on the different types of patient packaging and the multiple modalities by which patients can be loaded for transfer and extraction from the environment. Thank you for your service and your MRA team, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the scenarios presented here.
Welcome to Station 7. This is the patient packaging station, and that includes spinal protection, vapor barrier, actually getting in the litter, putting the wheel, and just going down the road here just a little bit.
Since we do have a lower right leg injury, we're going to form the bag around that. So we're using that bag for cervical protection, and we're also using it for spinal protection. We're going to make sure that that's really fully formed under them. As we're evacuating the air out, you have to actively hold that mattress in the place where you want it to be. You need to actively keep that shape while you're going with the evacuation of the air.
They're asking him, do they want him to have his arms in or out? That's a patient preference kind of a thing. subject. So we're going to do a crisscross across the torso.
We are going to do a crisscross.
Yeah, and then straight across from the hips down. So now we've got him to the point where he's immobilized. They're doing exactly the right thing by tucking in those straps.
1, 2, 3.
Good having the head call it. That's great.
That we have here, you'll see we have a blue tarp. We've actually got it set up so that we have 1/3 on the short side and more on the longer side.
Awesome job. Nice and smooth. The straps that come with the litter are just fine on their own. They just cross over a buckle, we're good. But if we're going to go vertical with this, or if we're going to do an external hoist on a helicopter, we really want to have it so that if it starts spinning or he goes vertical or upside down, they don't shoot out the bottom of the litter one way or the other.
So what we have set up here are opposing V's or flying V's that are going to be interlaced through our subject's harness at a master point and in opposition so that they can't go one way or the other.
You'll see that we've just got some 1-inch webbing with a loop we created here. Pull it through for girthing it, and then we're going to run this through the harness, maybe under his arms. What we're going to do is just kind of like a modified trucker's hitch to get some good tension, but we won't do that until the other side is interlaced.
So you hit it here.
Yep, just go back.
Back to here underneath.
And so you'll notice we're interlocked here. If there were a malfunction with the harness or the harness wasn't fastened properly, he's still not going to go anywhere because we've got these interlocked. Once we've gotten to the point where our subject is in there and fastened in, burrito the feet, short side over, long side over, reverse roll. So that everything is tucked in and that if water were to come down onto our subject, it would roll off.
So the most efficient way to do this is have this person lay it over here to this person. The adjustable side should be on the top, and then that way you just feed it through like this on this side for this person. This person pulls back towards them. This is actually a 2 or a 3-person operation, this part, getting the wheel on. Make sure that we put that up underneath there, and there's 4 little pins that go into each one of those, and then we have a brake that we have to route out. So the brake line will come up and go the inside of the litter and then out, and it'll go on the handle at the head once we get going. And all you're going to do is lift up the tabletop while 2 people, 1 on each side of this wheel. Yeah, that's what the tabletop handles are really nice for. That's great.
Get the wheel locked in place. The nice thing is the handles are adaptable. So if you have a side hill one way or the other, or you're a different height than the previous person, pop the pin, rotate them, lock them, and you're good to go. We want to have our arms so that our skeletal muscles are doing the work, not short-armed like this, because as we know, fatigue is a real issue when you're on long trail carries if you're doing this versus this.
Let's go ahead and roll with it.
Let's go. Let's start going forward, Andre. How far down do you want us to go?
There will be 2 people waiting for them. They're going to do a handoff, bring our subject back up, lean them up, and then we're going to get them out of the litter.
First, Gary, go ahead, do the transfer. Okay. You ready, Stella? Stabilize. Gary, you want to just grab the side just to help? You ready?
Ready?
Okay, go. All right, yours. Sean's got it.
So now the nice thing is, when Kerry goes down, we have a stable platform as long as Derek holds it to get him out.
I would say if you've been in a litter immobilized for more than 20 minutes, it's a real concern. If you sit up too quick and hop out of the litter, which everybody likes to do, you're going to gray out and probably fall over.
Now let's just go ahead and carefully get him out of here and just have somebody make sure they keep stabilization on this.
Your litter is not just a means of transport, it's something that protects your subjects from their environment. Protecting the spine, protecting cervical, preventing hypothermia or heat loss, and then lastly, protecting the subject and moving them safely down the trail without injuring our rescuers. Well guys, hopefully you got some good video of that and can reference it later.
My alarm hasn't gone off
As you know, this year we were focusing on the patient packaging educational project and working with litters and mitigating hypothermia. In mitigating hypothermia, we use the tarp as a vapor barrier, and the vacuum mattress actually makes a really fantastic conductive barrier to keep you from conducting your heat out. If it was a colder day, we certainly could have added a heating blanket like the Ready Heat blanket, or hot packs and hot Nalgene bottles and things like that. Rescue leader, how did that go for you?
It went great. The team was very helpful, and it was really easy to use the system the way it was set up. So
You guys just finished here up at Station 7. How did things go for you?
Oh, it went great. All the pieces fell into place, and it's something that's really useful for us out in the field.
And you guys used the tarp to wrap the
burrito wrap.
Burrito wrap.
Yep, we made one side really long and one side short, so that the short side went in, long side went over, and then you rolled it up.
Very
You
good.
counter rolled it so the water rolled off.
Amanda, as the patient, how did that go for you?
It went really well. There was a lot of communication. There was a lot of talking to me as the patient, like telling me what was going on, which I appreciated.
So Steve, how did things go for you?
Went really well.
Yeah, did you feel like you were adequately protected from hypothermia?
When the sun was behind the cloud, it was comfortable and not overly warm.
It was a little bit sweaty in there, but that's okay.
Oh, that's
So at
good.
least my-
I guess they did their job then.
I'd say so.
Do you feel like the vacuum mattress worked well for you?
Oh, absolutely. I had limited movement. I wasn't completely restrained though. So
Yeah.
And it
Felt
was-
like you could breathe okay?
breathe okay. I could move my arms, which was a little bit, but enough to like make me comfortable. So yeah,
Great.
it was perfect.
How did your neck feel? Do you feel like you could breathe okay with the vacuum mattress there?
Breathing was not a problem whatsoever. I
Good.
kind of, since it was an exercise, I wanted to peek around and see what was going on, but the mattress held my head in place and I couldn't really see anything.
Right, so it restricted you, but not too tight.
Right.
That's the goal with spinal cord protection, is we want to provide protection, in some cases spinal motion restriction, but not immobilization, not where we're increasing extension of the cervical spine, possibly precipitating further injury and things like that. Securing you in the harness with the flying V configuration, or the V configuration going through a center point on your harness.
Yes.
Do you feel like you were pretty stable and secure in the litter?
Oh yeah, I felt good. I had them tip me up onto my feet while strapped in the litter and didn't move very far.
Yeah, about an inch.
Yeah.
So that's pretty tolerable.
Yeah.
First, Ty, how did things go for you? Did you feel secure?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
felt like I was gonna fall out or anything like that.
We've never used the tabletop setting, and I thought that was great. And being able to like tilt the litter up, using the handles at the bottom to get the wheel on. We've always done a straight lift. So yeah, I'll be taking that home and recommending we switch to that.
It went really well because some people hadn't used that apparatus before, so they got to learn how to work the handles, how to work the straps, and how to keep the patient safe.
Well, first I was a little skeptical because you put in the patient on these titanium handles, but after seeing it hold Steve just fine, and it was fantastic.
One person can hold up the litter by themselves, and the other ones can go underneath and locate the pins and put them in.
Much more ergonomic for the rescuer, and if we can get a patient from where they are into that position, that'd be great.
The ride, not bumpy at all, very smooth. It didn't bother anything. So it
Good.
was,
Well, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for
participating.
presenting this to us.
Yeah. First, in patient packaging, you want to develop a very secure package, a package that's not going to fall out of the litter or fall out of your SCED device as you're moving them through the backcountry. So a secure patient connection was one of the hallmark talking points of today's series. One of the discussion points was to use a V configuration, going through a common point on the patient's harness right here so that they can't slide up and down inside the litter or inside the SCED. Also, we want to be very conscientious of the mitigating of hypothermia and paying special attention to the 4 areas of heat loss: conduction, evaporation, radiation, and convection. And we do that quite effectively with the burrito wrap, which fits nicely inside of a SCED or inside of a litter. The vacuum mattress, ironically, makes not only a great way to secure a patient, but also a way to help mitigate conductive heat loss. The vapor barrier of a tarp is also a great way to help prevent heat loss, and then adding other insulative layers as needed for further heat production. The Ready Heat blanket has been used and shown to provide a great source of heat inside of the burrito wrap. Once you have the patient secure and wrapped up in the burrito wrap to keep them warm and dry, there are a couple other tidbits that you want to be conscientious of. One is that we have a helmet on the patient, providing good helmet protection and perhaps even a litter shield or eye protection for the patient. We want to be careful that our rescuers don't step over the patient, particularly if you have crampons on your feet. Ouch, that could hurt. Lastly, if the patient has a lower extremity injury, building a stirrup that's incorporated into your litter can really help them offload their injured extremity and put some weight on the good extremity while they're being rescued from the environment. Lastly, talking about the vacuum mattress, not only is it good for helping to provide splinting and immobilization of a lower extremity injury, but it also is fantastic in providing spinal cord protection. Vacuum mattress provides spinal motion restriction by keeping their head comfortable in an anatomically appropriate position, but not with rigid immobilization, which could cause further harm. Thank you very much for joining us and for coming out for the Mountain Rescue Conference. We hope to see you in future years and that you benefit from this educational series. We just want to reach out and thank you to all the sponsors who came to support the Mountain Rescue Association, and particularly this year for Cascade Rescue, who provided the litter for these operations.